Here we have verse 26 of the 14th chapter of the Gospel of John. We're in the midst of a conversation in which Jesus is explaining the role of the Parakletos, the advocate, the lawyer we've talked about earlier, the one who would come in, who is going to actually take the place of Jesus. He's indicated that he's not going to leave them orphaned. They're a little bit upset and shaken up to hear that Jesus is going to be departing, but of course Jesus' point is that things are going to be better than they have been, because even though Christ has been with them, now in some sense he's going to be in them through the person of the Holy Spirit, and even the Father is going to be there as well. So it's rather a remarkable idea. He's just told them in the preceding verse that he's saying these things to them while he is yet with them. And of course, if that were all we knew, then it would be in a sense up to the disciples to feverishly try to remember everything that Jesus had said to them. But then he makes this remarkable additional comment here that we have beginning in verse 26. So we have ho, the masculine singular nominative article, the postpositive da, so but the Parakletos, the word we've looked at earlier. This is in the masculine singular of this. As we indicated before, it's one called in alongside, and it, in the first century, normally referred to an attorney who was pulled into the picture, not based simply on a professional connection, but more on a family connection, the family lawyer, you might say, who's tied to the family more by filial constraint than simply by a fee or something like that. So this family lawyer, this lawyer, the Parakletos, and then Jesus specifically identifies it. To, the neuter singular nominative article, to pneuma, this is pneuma, the spirit, pneumatics, words like that in English, of course, the spirit, and then to hagion, the standard word in the New Testament for holy. And so this adjective agreeing with the word it goes with, it's a neuter, singular, nominative adjective agreeing with pneuma. So the Spirit, the Holy One. So that, of course, all of it is supposed to tell us who this Parakletos is. We haven't really had him identified yet. This is the first time we have this association in this conversation made. So the Spirit is the Parakletos. And then ho, this is a relative pronoun now. It is the accusative, neuter, because it agrees with pneuma, singular, and then pimpse. This is the future of pimpo, I send, so it's the third person singular future active indicative, who he sends or will send. So the Holy Spirit, whom he will send, and then the subject of that verb is ho pater, the article with the masculine noun pater, father, so the Father, but he's going to send it in preposition with the dative. To onoma is the word for name, the first person genitive, singular pronoun of me. So who he will send, that is the Father will send in the name of me, akenos. But now notice a very interesting thing, akenos here is masculine. So even though pneuma is neuter, and when we modify pneuma, it's with a neuter adjective, and even going on from there, the term is neuter. But now, rather dramatically, Jesus shifts to the masculine, that one. And that does, of course, become one of those indications that even though the Spirit itself is a neuter noun, it's a masculine personality, and so there's a kind of personality associated with it as it goes now to the masculine. That one, the demonstrative pronoun, of course, in the masculine singular nominative, that one, you, serving as a direct object from didogze. So you, humas, here is the accusative, plural, of the second person pronoun, the direct object of didogze, which is the future of didasko, I teach. This is the third person singular future active indicative. That one will teach you, is the idea. Panta, again, all things. This is the accusative, neuter, plural, so all things. Kai, and then interesting word here, hupom nense. This is a word, it's actually based on memnesko, which is a word that means to remind someone. It would mean in the first person, I remind you of something. The hupo to the beginning of it is literally under, to remind under, which idiomatically meant something of reminding quietly, reminding as if whispering in the ear. And there is a kind of subtlety to it. So this Holy Spirit is going to teach you and remind you as if whispering in your ear is the idea. He'll remind humas, again the same as here, it's the object of this verb. Panta, all things, and then the relative pronoun, again in the accusative, neuter, plural, all things which, apon, the aorist of lego, I say, first person singular, aorist active indicative, which I said, humen, to you. This is present in some manuscripts, ego, giving it some emphasis. And so you can see what's going on here. The teaching that Jesus has given, of course, it's been a monumental amount of data, and they might have been wondering how in the world they could hang on to it, remember it in the absence of Jesus, but now the point he's making is that the Holy Spirit is going to be coming to them. He was the Parakletos. He's going to be residing within them and bring back with clarity to their minds the things that Jesus has said, which is part of why we can have some confidence in the biblical record, the scriptures that come to us in part representing the personal experience of the disciples as they were there in the presence of Jesus. But in addition to that, of course, the fact that there's a kind of supernatural recollection of what Jesus said that becomes the record that they leave for our benefit.